Paramerican Radio starts right now.
Welcome, everybody, to another podcast episode of Paramerican Radio. As always, I am with my best buddy here, Justin Holstein, in the house with me. And we don't have a guest this week, which means we do have a guest, Steve. Steve, you are a returning guest. Tinder Steve's in the house this entire time. We did get messages, Steve, from people saying, I want to see Steve.
Really?
I want to see Steve. Yeah, and I told everybody, listen, we got the other camera, we got the card figured out, we'll be all good. So in the future, we'll make sure we got a fourth visual on Steve, which will make our editing situation even more maniacal. But yes, great times with Chad, with Churdleys. Great episode.
Yeah.
A lot going on in our world, but before we jump into the world of the bizarre and the mysterious and the unexplained and what is going to be a conspiracy podcast, just to talk about this really quickly, as many people know, we did, I want to say postponement. We did cancel our Australian tour, but it was really more of a postponement. And so people really kind of know the reasoning behind it. It's nothing beyond the fact that there was too short of a porch to roll out the advertising and the marketing. As big as Australia is, it only has the population of California, okay? So the way Facebook advertising works, the larger the population, the cheaper the advertisement is, because you got millions of people to advertise to. You're not fighting with other companies to advertise to a smaller pocket. So you go to smaller cities, you need longer marketing time because the marketing is going to cost more. We just didn't know what that cost would be. We didn't know because Facebook has an algorithm that is floating. There's no set prices for anything. So what we just started realizing, it was hyper-ass expensive up front, and there was no ceiling we could put on it. There was no problem with even ticket sales early or even interest. The problem was the cost of getting the marketing out to the amount of people that we needed to get it out to. Financially, this wasn't viable. Nobody wanted to go to Australia more than us. And it's funny, I saw some people that were pissed going, this is bullshit. Like, you don't think we wanted to go? You don't think I want to go to Australia for 5 days and then go to New Zealand? Of course we wanted to go.
Enough people in Australia, we've been there enough times. It feels like a second home now. Yeah. Honestly, you roll in, you're like, oh, okay, we're here. We know our places, we know our people. It just starts feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and we'll be back there, guys. It was like I said at the end of the day, it was 4 shows. We'll be back, and we'll figure it out and we'll do it right next time. Hang tight with us, and we'll be back there soon. But one of the awesome things about that is we moved up the release of CERNO. So it is now going to come out worldwide in early 2018 instead of late 2018, which is awesome because more people get to see that movie, and it's a banger of a movie. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff for press and for the release and promotional stuff. So there'll be more shows. There'll be more things to go. I'm super excited for it all. But let's move past that. And let's get into what the fuck went down in the last couple of weeks. And out of the blue, I have to admit, guys, I watch Infowars. I don't watch it because I'm some, right-wing, conspiracy nut. I watch it as a part of the regimen of all the things that I watch because I'm trying to determine what is real. And it is true, on both sides of the fence, they're both catering to an agenda. Well, it's the left and the right. So I watched Alex Jones, and I'm sitting here watching Alex Jones, and all of a sudden I hear him say, Trump is going to release the JFK files. And I started looking on every other news service, and no one had it out. And I was going, this is bullshit, isn't it? And then Roger Stone, they cut to him, and he's like, saying, no, I just spoke to the president. And this is happening. I'm thinking to myself, those are big words. I mean, you can't just say that and back out of it. I just spoke to Trump.
Dude,
and he said we're doing
I bet
this?
Alex Jones called Trump, or Trump called Alex Jones, and he said, "Hey, Alex, I'm going to release the documents. You're the first one to find out, buddy."
Well, it was actually Roger Stone is who he told. Who Roger Stone is now a full-time part of Infowars, which is mind-blowing. Yeah. You know what I mean in itself.
That guy is just. You watch his documentary on Netflix on Roger Stone.
He's a creepy dude. He's scary,
but he's just like one of those maniacal. Big personality.
He just wants to win.
He wants to be in the limelight all the time.
I want to win. He wants to win, and that's it. I mean, his book he just put out is called The Making of a President, and it's Trump on the cover. I mean, it's like, So, look, a couple of days later, Sure as shit, Infowars starts saying, well, Trump's in a battle right now because they're going to release some of the documents, but not all of them. But Trump's still saying, no, they're all going to come out. Don't worry, guys, they're all going to come out. So this dump happens, and then all of the major documents are held back. And so then there's this announcement that April 26th they're coming out. And I'm going, April 26th? That's like next summer, man. I'm just like, who gives a shit, And then the next morning I wake up, and I always know when something happened with Trump that Alex Jones is connected with, because there'll be a sling of new videos that they've posted every 3 minutes, because it's them just bigging up themselves, you know what I mean, when they beat everybody to it. And it was him saying, no, the documents are out, they released them. And just some mind-blowing shit was in these documents.
Wait, they released the rest of the documents?
Yes. Justin didn't even know this either. No, that happened. Huh. Yeah, no, that went down. He released all of them. They're all out now. Only a few mainstream media places have even reported it. It's completely all out there now. Yeah, it's completely out there. Like, he released them all. It was only like 48 hours after they came out, and everyone was like, oh, they held back some.
Right.
48 hours later, Trump released them all.
Well, it's only a matter of time, then, when it's trending on Facebook. It has to be.
You would think, but there's tons of videos. CBS finally reported it, that he did it. Like, online, they reported that he released them. But, like, none of the other mainstream media has. And I said to Justin, the reason they're not going to is because it's pro-Trump. That it looks good for him.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that.
Yep.
And that's why they're not. Because it's dude, the fucking coroner's report is out showing he got hit in the throat, showing he got hit on the overpass, got hit from the right side. They've already named the shooter. The documents show
They named the shooter?
Yeah, the shooter's named in there. Yeah, he's named in there. Dude, they have an interview on tape with,
they have many interviews on tape.
Yeah.
I've seen all the interviews with the shooters that supposedly said, no, I was there. They talked about it. That's what's been killing me forever. When I talk to my family or anybody, they're like, oh yeah, there goes Justin again on. It just feels like you're the only one in the room going, seriously? No one wants to look at the reality here?
Well,
It's
like
written
an
on the wall,
interrogation
man.
tape?
But there's all kinds of stuff. No, there's documents of, like, they found out that the first assassination was going to be a sniper in a palm tree. They have a house in Florida, the Kennedys do. So there's this long stretch where they were going to be coming home where the motorcade was, and they had a sniper that was going to be in the palm tree to take him out when he turned the corner.
How was Chicago?
And Chicago, last second, they called it off, but they had all the plans behind that. It's all laid out in these documents. These are the documents that show that Hitler lived. Right. Hitler lived and went to Colombia and was down there at the last they could tell, he was alive at least 12 years after. And they had his new name. They had a photo of him, like, down there to confirm it was him. And there was basically a discussion talking about how they couldn't really go get him because it was past the statute of limitations, like all this stuff. And I was just like, how can that be past the statute of limitations? It's a fucking
you know what?
crimes in the world.
Well, that's because but all the war crimes and stuff, they weren't created yet. There was no United Nations and
So he got away. He got pretty much what it came down to. The guy that's completely behind all of it was the vice president, LBJ, who, by the way, it's confirmed in these documents, was a KKK member.
Yeah.
So we've had a president of our country that was a KKK member.
I'm sure more than one.
So the next time I hear another motherfucker go, man, there ain't racism's over, dude. It's like not that long ago, the president was a Klansman.
What's
what
odd,
I mean?
That Klansman president is the one who passed a ton of the legislation on rights for
which he did, I know,
minorities.
exactly, yeah. Which is kind of interesting because Woody Harrelson was just talking about that. And maybe it was just that he was a Klansman earlier in his life, or maybe it was just to curry political favor. You don't know.
Yeah.
But all these things came out that, the documents also, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the French Secret Service and the Russian Secret Service both did an investigation on Kennedy. They both came back and said LBJ. That's who did it. That's who was behind it all and who put led
and that's
in
deceptive
favor.
to say because LBJ. If you watch all that, what I got out of it is LBJ he might have even been one of the people pushing the envelope on it, like, to stay on top of it, but he doesn't have his hands directly in it, other than the fact he went to the meetings.
Not according to these documents. One of these documents talks about the fact that his LBJ's right hand man, I forget his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Said,
I forgot.
Kennedy's going to die, and he's going to die a violent death.
No, and he was known.
Yeah,
he LBJ's previous partner brought out, I thought it was like 14 or 17 counts of murder against him, and a lawyer picked it up.
LBJ pardoned himself once he became president.
And one of them was Kennedy. Out of all those murders that he was going after him, he got a lawyer to pick it up, and that lawyer was found shot in the back of the head in a dirt road, and they said, "Oh, suicide." The local cops that were connected to it.
So let's just rewind this for a second. Let's talk about the things we just learned. Okay. Let's start with the greatest monster in the history of the world lived through this. So we went over there to Germany. You know what? We're going to get to this in the next episode. Let's pause on that for everybody because there's a bigger picture here to this. Let's skip ahead. But let's just leave it at that. That's crazy. That monster lived.
Nice
all right?
teaser.
Right. Nice teaser. That monster lived. And there's a lot to this story, which we're going to get into. And we're going to find out why the Holocaust deniers are deniers. And this is part of the story. And I know this will be a controversial episode, but we should look at it because it's pretty crazy. So let's start with the fact that the Zapruder film, if you watch it, everything that you would conclude by watching it is exactly what happened. He leans forward, looks like he gets hit in the throat, and then the whole side of his head gets blown off, and it looks like he got shot from the front right side of the glass. People said we heard shots from two areas, above the overhead and the grassy knoll. And everybody was told you're stupid, you're ignorant, you're dumb, that didn't happen, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me that everything that basically happened from a visual standpoint is in the Zapruder film. It's all there. So the next time I hear these stories about how the eyes are awfully deceptive, the worst kind of report in the world is a visual report from a human being. Bullshit. No, it's not. There's
got to be an actual psychological thing that is classified about populism and humanity. What you can get people to believe if you can just get the most people to say this is the case, and everybody else will go, well, that's the case. Well, because everybody's saying it.
But they learned this shit at Mockingbird. You know what Mockingbird was, right? When they bought all the different news agencies.
Yeah, Project Mockingbird.
Yeah, so they learned. They learned through this. They learned the public will fucking believe anything that they're told.
I didn't.
Yeah.
What I understood Project Mockingbird to be is that they basically started taking some of their covert people and training them as journalists to basically
and started flat out buying news institutions as well. Oh God, yes, they started buying them as well, funding the people who own them if they couldn't buy them outright, embedding actual agents as news dudes. That's why today we see fucking the actors. Think how deep that was a long time ago, right? That started back then. Look where it would be today. But what they learned back then is that great. It's what I learned when I was writing my college, my college newspaper, and I was writing columns and stuff. Like, whatever you say, like, I could have told anybody I did anything and they would believe it. I made up a character. I made up a character. I pretended to be that guy. And it's funny at the time. I remember I made that one joke about how Laura would come to town. I'd, shove 2 cheeseburgers down her throat and make her go give me beer. And I was like totally joking. People really thought that went down. That I was like brutal with my girlfriend. Yeah. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Laura would backhand me if I did that shit.
I remember.
You know what I mean?
Same thing when we were doing the Pride Republic. I can't remember, the Omaha World Herald put out I think it was like 4 or 5 lines. It was a blip, right? They had some information long. I don't remember what it was. And I remember that day, I'd been telling my cousins, my family, that we're going to be shooting the movie in Omaha. And they're all like, oh, yeah, really? No, that's cool. And they didn't really say anything. This Omaha World Herald article comes out. I get my cousin calling me, and he goes, dude, I saw the Omaha World Herald. And he said the statement that was wrong. And I go, yeah, that's actually wrong. And he goes, oh, it said it in the paper. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's wrong. I mean, the guy must have got it.
I hear that
it's almost
all
like he
the
didn't
time.
believe
Yeah, I hear that same exact line all the time.
Trust me, it's about us and what we're doing.
It's my movie, I would know.
Yeah.
But the paper said this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess they would know then.
Yeah, but I read on CNN
But that's how, bro. They learned that in Mockingbird that, man, it sucks to say it, but man, people by and large are fucking sheep, and when they're told something, it's like they want to be led. It's like they want to be led to water. You know what I mean? They don't want to find water. They don't, and that's what this was the biggest example of. Think how many. This is another reason why aren't they reporting that those 300 documents have come out, Steve? Who perpetrated that? You're an idiot if you think Oswald didn't act alone. Who made fun of the conspiracy? The media. The media. They're the ones that came out like, oh, this guy thinks Kennedy didn't act alone. The media did that. So they're not going to come back out and go, we were wrong again. We were wrong again about everything. You know what I mean? Well, you were wrong because you were ordered.
Right.
You were ordered and told this is the fucking agenda.
And
you know what I mean?
And the interesting thing is, too, the JFK conspiracy is the most popular one. If you look at, like, the top 3, it's always number 1 because it's the most obvious. You know, it's the most clear.
And that, to
There's
me,
the most
I would always reinforce the fact, to me, that was the most important one. It's because it's the same thing that guy said. What was the guy's name we interviewed? John? Down in Texas. He was the guy who wrote the JFK, the script that who's the director, the famous director? Oliver Stone picked up, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's on the commissions.
Yeah,
the
right.
commissions
He was the guy who actually did all the special photography stuff. He was on the Senate hearings for it. He knew everything. They burned down his house. They came after him. I mean, I would love to hear right now. I would love to have him on because he's got to be loving life. Because he's had the people pointing at him.
Remember?
Yeah.
He said that this was the year that they would be released.
Well, what's crazy about it is, like, I mean, everything's there. I mean, everything from the coroner's report to right down to, like, Woody Harrelson's dad was one of the 6. The bombs were hired. They were a secondary measure. If the triangulation didn't hit, they were supposed to take care of it at point blank range. So if they missed from the top, they were going to run up and pow and get the fuck out of Dodge.
When they did,
you know what I mean?
In The Men Who Killed Kennedy, they interviewed the special operations of the CIA that's like an assassinations division, and the guy basically said, "This is how you do it. We do it in third world countries. There's generally 3 shooters. There's alternate shooters in case somebody has a problem, can't go through with it, whatever. Somebody can step in. So it's generally around 6 people. I mean, this one.
Do they do it like an exact time? Like if
they were all supposed to fire at once. Oh. They were all supposed to fire at once because if they're all firing at once, they're all looking at once, they're all going to know if they hit him or not. Right? So had they not hit him, they were not supposed to fire again. They were supposed to fire, get the fuck out of Dodge. And if they didn't hit him, that's when the bums were going to come in and take him out. But they obviously blew his fucking head, you know. I mean, there was no question. But what's even funny about this is Oswald never pulled the trigger, never had a gun. You know, from the jump, he was the guy they were going to pin it on. He was set up. Everybody knows that.
Dispatches you people have been given, but I emphatically deny these charges. I emphatically deny these charges. I emphatically deny these charges.
I'd like some legal representation. These police officers have not allowed me to have any. I don't know what this is all about.
Kill the president?
No, sir, I didn't. People keep asking me that. Sir?
Did you shoot the president?
I didn't shoot anybody, sir. I haven't been told what I'm here for.
You have a lawyer?
No, sir, I don't.
Did you shoot the president?
No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
President?
I didn't shoot anybody, no, sir. I didn't shoot anybody, no, sir. I didn't shoot any policeman hit me.
The turmoil in the lineup room had long before been taken over in the police station corridors. Everyone was there wanting to see Oswald, wanting to be shown the rifle. A police officer brought the rifle out. Foreign made, the press was told. Reporters were asking questions, newspaper photographers were hustling for better angles, television cameramen were feeding pictures, and one interested bystander was just looking on that Friday night. His name, Jack Ruby. Fortunately, Oswald's need for a lawyer soon ended. Instead of law, there was one man's impulse, one man's plot, the climax of conspiracy.
It's just incredibly frightening to me to think. I mean, this is dirty shit. I mean, this is dirty pool, dude. Like, this is like as bad as it gets. Like, when you think of like your government being monsters, if they can do this, you know, because my big question was something weird is going on right now. We talked about this last night. I pointed out to Laura a week ago, and I said, well, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but a while back, about a month or month and a half ago, Bill Maher was on the Bill Maher show, and he was talking to this guy about Trump, and he was basically saying, and then just so everybody knows, this is not going to be I think Trump's good or bad speech. It's just something I noticed. And Bill Maher said, you know, I'm not really worried about it because with this Russian stuff and all this stuff, he'll be out of there by December. And the guy who was talking to him, I wish I remember his name, basically said, not so fast. Once a president digs in as president, it's real fucking hard to get him out of there. Historically, we haven't been able to do it. I mean, the only way to do it historically has been one way. I mean, the only guy that ever stepped down was Nixon, and look how red-handed he was caught to do that. You know what I mean? And remember him saying that he'll be gone by December. And then I just caught a couple other media people at different times. I kept hearing it. Gone by December. Gone by December. And then yesterday, or day before yesterday, I was watching this Roger Stone thing. And he comes on, he basically says, folks, I got to share something with you because I'm concerned. And before I even heard this, I said to Laura, I think the biggest question is, why is Trump pushing this out? Why does he want all this out? And why did he want those final 300 documents? Why was he like, I don't give a shit, put it out? So Roger Stone basically says, I was meeting with this high-level money man that basically raised the money and had tons of influence in the Bush family. And I've been longtime friends with him. And at dinner, they start talking about, normal shit, and they get on Trump, and he looks at him and he says, Roger, I hate to tell you, Trump's going to be gone by December. And Stone says, later on I leave, and I happen to run into Jeb. And he basically says Jeb's kind of been a spanked pony, you know what I mean, since the whole thing happened. Not a lot of confidence coming out of his mouth, you know what I mean? Because, Jesus Christ, if anybody should have been president, should have been him, for God's sakes. He actually did a good job in Florida, too, you know what I mean? And he got thumped by Trump. No one wanted him. So he runs into Jeb, and they start just talking, yammering. And he looks at him before he leaves, and he says, well, listen, I hate to tell you, but... And he says those exact same words, Trump's gone by December. And he hears it again. And then, same day, this was in the New York Times, all right? For those of you watching this, I'll put this up. The nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. November 4th it begins. Be there, join with the thousands who will gather in cities and towns across the country, a movement of protest that will continue every day and night, growing until we become millions, determined not to stop until this regime is driven from power.
Wow.
So before that even started, then this happened. In LA, they're stopping traffic with these signs, November 4th it begins. And this stuff's happening all over the country right now. What's ballsy about this, okay? These are like billionaire dudes that are buying these ads. And what's ballsy about this is you can't take that ad out in the Times unless you got some firepower coming.
Oh, that's an ad.
That was a full page in the New York Times.
I thought that was like the front page or something. It literally looks like a front page.
It was huge. The full page of the New York Times. The whole fucking thing. You open it up, there it is. You can't do that unless you got some real power coming, or else you're a joke.
But why November 4th? Why not remember the 5th of November?
Because he'll be gone by December. I don't know. That's my guess.
Yeah, but November 5th is like the day that symbolizes overthrowing a government.
Really?
So why start the 4th?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You don't remember the plot like way back when in England? The V for Vendetta was based on this, where the guy tried to blow up Parliament.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was...
Try to blow up Parliament. So, to finish this story off, then we can discuss it here. So then, and the only reason I have a tendency to... I wouldn't give Roger Stone 2 cents of fucking nothing if he didn't have the direct ear of Trump. Okay? He is Trump's guy.
Oh, yeah, for a long time.
He put him in power... Like, don't get it twisted. That's who did it, okay? He comes out, and this was my prediction. I said, I know why Trump is pushing this shit out there. He wants the public to see presidents will be assassinated by the government, by the CIA's involvement, by the FBI.
Things are being covered up by
right. This has been covered up.
The people you trust are lying to you.
Right. He wants the public to know it. So if shit starts going down, I said, Laura, if it starts going down, it was just like, if you think, if he would have lost the election on votes, you know what he was about ready to do, right? He was going to call for civil war. It's rigged. The system's rigged. He kept saying that, right? The system's rigged. It's rigged. Before the votes came in. He was not going to succeed. He was not going to step down. He was telling all of his followers, it's rigged. Right. The whole thing's rigged. You know, there's no fucking way he would have walked out and said, I succeed. Good job, Hillary. No. People would have been taken to pitchforks to the street, and he fucking knew it. And that's what he rode into power, is I'll go all the fucking way with it. I think he knows a coup is up, right? And I think he knows shit's coming, and he wants the public to see, look, the CIA, the FBI, the device They killed this man for his ideas because they were different, they're unique, because he was a revolutionary. I think he sees himself as a Kennedy-type guy. I really do, even though he's not. But I think he sees himself, and I think that's what he wants the public to see. And I think that's why it's out there right now. So Roger Stone comes on and says, yeah, spoke to the president. Turns out we are aware now of a coup.
I just don't trust Roger. If you watch a documentary
I'm not saying
on Netflix,
I trust him.
Who is Roger Stone? I think it is, man. The man, they just go through the history of him, Manafort. I mean, they've all been in the clique for a long time.
I get it. Total piece of shit, right? You know what he's also been? Accurate. I think Trump is very much in bed with Infowars, and I think he's setting them up to be the definitive place to go for that reason. Because why else would he go to Roger Stone and go, hey, I'm going to release the JFK files, go tell everybody. And then tell nobody else. And then when everybody else asks him, don't respond. Wait until they get pounded on, and then go, yep, I'm releasing them. And then you look like superheroes. Like, I think he's setting them up to look like these guys know what's up. They know what's up. I think he's truly, because why else would he do it?
You remember the reason, and this is kind of known by the inner circles, Trump pretty much knew he wasn't going to win. That's his belief. When he was running towards the end there, they were setting up where they were going to start Trump News Network. They were going to start this whole thing. They had funders, investors in
try to win it the next time around, right?
And if you want to see a deer in the headlights, look at what happened in the initial first how many weeks of the Trump administration, dude. It was like, I turned to Fox News the day right he won that night, and dude, the last state, Ohio, I think, or whatever, they go, and that's it. I mean, Trump won.
Well, this says it all, though. This says it all. This says it all. Look at the size of Hillary's campaign party that was going to happen that night. Yeah. And they were laughing at Trump's before it happened, saying, talk about understated. It's in a room that's kind of square and a stage with limited lighting. They didn't know they were going to win. They had no fucking idea. He was just going cock out till the end.
You know what was weird? Before all the Russian stuff, all the Russian collusion, I watched 2 interviews with Barack Obama. He said it's well known that the Russians are definitely working to support Trump. But now, whether or not there's collusion, he said, that's not known. But they're obviously working for one
the thing
candidate.
Is, you don't need Obama to know that. I mean, Putin was telling you that.
This was before he got elected.
But again, Russia's our enemy. Of course, they want the most unstable guy in the world to become the leader. So, I mean, that wasn't news. You know what I mean? I think Obama also guaranteed Trump wouldn't win, too. So, fuck, they didn't know that. You know what I mean? So, I just think, in context with this, like I said, just to narrow this conversation to not if we like Trump or don't like Trump, okay? Just look at the context of the events that have gone down, all right? This could be, like, that we are living through the most historical time in the history of the United States. We may be facing a full-blown coup to actively remove our president, which has not occurred since the country was formed.
Yeah.
And they're calling for it. That says every night, day after day, until they are forced from office.
Oh my God. It's so... Okay, check this crazy movie plot. So, Russia... They find the most inventive way to beat America. They get a president in office that will tear the country apart.
Crazy. That was Putin's thing the whole time. The one thing people don't like to give him credit for it, I'm just going to say it right now, Putin's a badass, dude. With having an ounce of resources compared to what we have, he scares the fuck out of us and everybody else. And not because he's wild and crazy, because he's deadly. He is a fucking leader. And he saw that shit. That's a total thing that he would do. Say, man, the Americans want to put this crazy, inexperienced guy that has no history in any of this in office? Let's get his ass in there.
You know the really odd thing? So, if you guys remember, during when Mitt Romney was running, and he had brought up the idea that the biggest enemy we are facing right now are the Russians, and Obama laughed at him and made it a joke, like you're living in the 1980s or 60s.
Right? The thing about Obama, I think history will be kind to his reign. I think it will be. There was enough social accomplishments to rain down in a positive. Even it's funny because those things would have happened anyways, right? I mean, but still, he was the guy in opposite.
Gay marriage, it's like
it would have happened. Yeah, it's a landmark, but it would have happened no matter who was there eventually. But it happened during his term, and he stood for that. I mean, he also stood for the pipeline. He shut it down under his reign. There were things that he did. 4
years is not that long. When you get to be an old dude, you start looking at 4 years, even 8 years, right? So when you start going Obama didn't do this and he didn't do this. Listen, every president since Kennedy was working with a deep state and an interest group that they had to work with. I mean, the Department of Defense has their own agenda, and they kind of line up the marching orders, lay it out to the president, you know? I mean, you can't run everything. You're not.
Well, the problem is, and this is the reason Kennedy wanted. I mean, people don't realize this, and now it's coming to light and being focused on. Kennedy was going to completely do away with the CIA. He was going to, yes, he was going to shut them down. He did a speech where he came on and said, "Secrecy in the light of day is the enemy and the evil of our country."
Right.
Like,
wow.
I mean, he just said there should be no secrets whatsoever, no organizations that operate under secrecy. Yeah. He was going to get rid of them.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program.
You should play that, definitely, that speech, because it's so impactful.
Well, and he was also threatening J. Edgar Hoover to do the same shit to him, because he's kind of going, listen, we don't need, you're not our police.
Yeah.
We have a military.
And not only that,
you know what I mean?
It's not that they didn't want intelligence. They absolutely did. Him and Bobby started their own intelligence agency. It was called the Freedom something network or whatever.
The thing is, he just knew he couldn't. His problem was, I can't trust you. You're operating under your own shit.
Right. That was
and he was going to shut down the CIA as a watch your ass to J. Edgar Hoover. Like, you know what? You're next. If you want to work for me now, or you want to share some info, or what do you want to do? Because none of them right now have to share info.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's so fucked up the way they all operate. And right now, I think the biggest problem that any president will have if they go in there is that our government is multiple operating branches. Not only is there the CIA and the FBI, but there's fucking JSOC.
Yeah.
There's black ops that are off the books. Right. That are complete, and beyond that, there's black ops completely off the books. When they say, right before 9/11, not Cheney, Rumsfeld comes out and says $3.2 trillion
is not accounted for.
Is not accounted for. Those are all black ops.
Yeah,
those
I think it was 2 point something trillion dollars.
Those are
with
all.
the T.
And the thing is, when the unacknowledged programs are talking about, they don't even report to the president. The president doesn't even know what they are. Doesn't even know what they are. So there's an entire separate operating government that is going on as the president doesn't even know what the fuck is going down.
And that's
backed by trillions of dollars that siphon.
Is that constitutional?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Fuck
And that's what Kennedy was saying.
Right.
I mean, he was a
Kennedy
dangerous
saw where it
person
was
to a lot of
going.
people.
Kennedy saw where it was going. He was like, it's already here.
And he wasn't even the first one. Eisenhower came out saying,
beware
of the military
Eisenhower
industrial
said
complex.
those words, right. Beware the military industrial
and
complex.
he was a general, a high-ranking guy in the military. He knew the military, and he saw what was happening. He saw the interest groups that were getting their claws into what was actually controlling this country.
If you want to know how much is going on right now, I don't know how much you guys have looked into it. Vegas was a full-blown ICE attack.
Islamic State releasing a new propaganda video showing the Las Vegas Strip. And officials there say they're treating it as a credible threat. The group that monitors extremist propaganda released a statement a segment of the video. The video shows landmarks in Las Vegas and other major U.S. cities. Police in Vegas said they're taking the threat seriously. I mean, what else are they going to do? And that they're stepping up security as they prepare for a very busy Memorial Day weekend.
New York, massive gunfire in there. People killed in there. People killed in the Bellagio, Tropicana. Hooters, 17 bodies were pulled out, and there is footage of that.
It was a terrorist attack. It was a terrorist attack, okay? I just want everybody to realize what happened last weekend, exactly 1 week ago, was a terrorist attack. It was group organized, it was choreographed.
You know, anytime anything like this happens anymore, I'm already suspicious. I don't automatically just assume it's some kind of conspiracy plot or something. I really don't. But what really set me off, that next day I'm driving and I'm listening to NPR and somebody comes on and goes, well, I want to tell you right now, what's really odd is the streets of Las Vegas are a police zone right now. There are cops everywhere. Yep. And the reason they're doing this is because there were all reports that were other government. And I want to say right now that is not true. We don't know what happened, but we do know there is no other gunmen that were there. And I'm like
let me
what does
point
that even
this out
mean?
too. Everybody out there, sir, you know, in fact, I will show this right now. Right in the middle of this gunfire, and no one knows what this is about yet, and different reporters are trying to figure out what it's about. What appears to be American SWAT of some kind is escorting what appears to be a Middle Eastern guy that has a bag in his hand.
And he's acting calm.
He's calm. They come around the corner, full bore, machine guns, and they make everybody in the casino put their hands up, everything.
There's a video of this?
Oh, yeah. It's on YouTube, dude.
They're screaming. They're
insane.
screaming right away. Get your hands up! Like right when they come in. And this dude's totally calm, walking behind them, escorting them out. I will show you guys the footage right now.
That's good that they're here. There's no cops are here. Just you want to freak out. Go ahead, go. The cops are here. Come to chill.
So as you can see, I mean, this is crazy shit. And the thing is, like, no one knows what this is yet. And no one's coming forward to say what it is. Listen, guys, in the middle of the city, you know, in the middle of the worst attack ever in the history of our country, right? As far as a mass shooting goes, ever. There is footage of armed men escorting a Middle Eastern guy out of a fucking casino. Why do we not know every fucking thing about this?
And the odd part to me,
It's being hidden.
away,
It's being hidden.
Right away, what was so odd to me is all of these guys have M16s, I think they were, and they're pointing at people gambling.
That are
and
literally
as they come
like
around
this.
the corner, they're all like, up. They're like pointing. All these people in the casino are like going, you know, and these people are pointing M16s at them as they're going through, and this guy's in the middle of them, and you're like going, oh, what's going on right now, man?
Yeah.
Why are they pointing at the people that are
gambling? And why
gambling?
has nobody come forward to say what that is?
Why? Why? Because they don't know where the FBI is. They don't know where the people are that might come at them, you know? If this whole thing was a plot to try to capture them, they could have people downstairs. They could have people coming right out the door. They don't know where they're going to be confronted, right? They probably didn't think they were going to get that far.
This is what I believe. Yeah, that guy, I don't believe that those were our guys, like as far as that SWAT looking dudes. I think those were hired dudes, security, and I don't think they even knew what they were doing. I think they were just taking them out.
Here's the one thing though, man. There's the one thing that I can't let go of, and I
could be wrong about this.
What was that dude, that Middle Eastern dude, looked like he was on fucking vacation?
No, I know. He looked very comfortable. He did look very comfortable.
He's walking in the middle of it like...
See, that's the thing. That's why I wish I could even take back what I just said. That's the problem with this stuff. Like, why don't we know everything about that?
What it seemed like to me, if you look at stuff, if you look at two people fighting through like a window in silence, you can tell a lot by their actions, everything else.
Yeah.
I'm watching them walk through there. This guy looks comfortable, like he's on vacation, and it looks like Americans protecting him.
It does.
And they supposedly are just coming from the Saudi Arabian floor where they're taking people out, right? Now, there's other news that I meant
to say was, Justin, not that I didn't think they were American, that I believe that they were a hired security force.
Yeah, they did. They
not
look like
known, like our like an American Blackwater.
Yeah.
That's what they looked like to me. They weren't fully out. I mean, they were outfitted, but it didn't look like official shit. You know what I mean? They just look like they were outfitted in green camos and shit, but they look like a private security force.
You know what? You could see those at all if you look at like a lot of videos of like protesters and like big protests. You could see the same. Did you see that video of like when they just grabbed that protester off the street? I think it was in one of the episodes, and like just put him in the car, and they were dressed just like that, just
greens.
Right. Yeah.
Just greens. They were they look like a hired security force, right? And big fucking guns and the intent to fucking kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just amazing to me that like that's not. It amazes me that our president or someone hasn't stepped forward and said, you know what, we're finding out who that was. We're going to find out who the fuck that was. Because he got escorted out as the whole Vegas is getting shot the fuck up. You know what I mean? So I just think all of this is we're going to take a break here and come back with more. But I think all of this is such an exciting time. I'm going to go ahead and say like this is a to be continued episode because all this stuff is just starting to play out. And I just think this is some real... Like part of our show is conspiracy theories. So this is not a political conversation of whether we like or dislike Trump. I think there is clearly massive conspiracies that are going on right now that are very real.
Conspiracy and politics are like go hand in hand. Though.
Right. No, I know, but I'm saying this isn't about whether or not you believe global warming should or shouldn't be real. You know what I mean? This is about there are clearly two sides here. And they're engaged in some serious shit right now.
Dude, all I know is I just so much hope this becomes public about Kennedy and all those details.
Just so your family can lay off. Yeah.
Just so I can go back to my family and just go, crazy Justin, huh? Huh, guys?
Well, I'll just end this with this, guys. I already said it earlier, but I think it's very, very important to point out. I've said this when I do public speaking at events. You've heard me say this when I talk about ghosts, and I say, why is it that you can walk into a court of law and on any other subject you can say, I saw this, I saw that, I saw this, and your testimony can be good enough to put someone away for life. But the second you say something like I saw a ghost or I got this information from a conspiracy theory or something like that, it's like suddenly like what you saw is no good, and it's like just remember the Zapruder film. Every fucking thing that film and that tape suggests is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Every fucking thing. We're going to take a break, guys. Good stuff, man. We will be right back, and Steve is going to walk us down the rabbit hole once again. We'll be back with more PARAMERICAN Radio.
PARAMERICAN Radio will be right back after this commercial break with even more dope-ass shit.
And we are back with more Paramerican Radio. It is that time, once again, my favorite time of each podcast. It is time for Tinder Steve to roll back the lid to the rabbit hole and take us down. Steve, what is going on in the world that is weird, bizarre, unexplained, or otherwise strange?
Well, have you heard of the Stardust Ranch?
Why does that make sense to me?
Yeah.
I have for some reason.
Well, it's pretty famous. So it's a alien-infested ranch in, I believe, Nevada. And the owner is, he says, quote, he's tired of fighting ETs, so he's selling it for $5 million. This ranch was featured on Ghost Adventures. There's like multiple documentaries about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. But the reason that I chose this one isn't just because he's selling it and anyone could buy alien-infested land, but he claims to have been abducted many times, and look at his arm, what he says they put in his arm. I don't even know what this is, man.
Holy bejesus.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Right, yeah. What is that?
I don't know. I just watched the documentary. I was going to save it for our movie reviews, but I'll just talk about it right now because it goes in line with this. It's called, Patient 17. And it is an entire documentary about, remember in my Air Above Our Hair documentary, at the very end, you see Dr. Robert Lear's video of the Turkey UFO. That was amazing, right?
Yeah.
Well, Robert Lear was an actual doctor, an operating doctor. And one of the things he was made famous for is his practice. Is one of the few practices that would openly remove things from people's bodies. That if they said I was abducted, something was put in my body. Well, this Patient 17 is this guy that, was not in the UFO thing, hasn't been since, but had an abduction thing, and said there's something in my leg. And the documentary, they dig it out of him. And it turns out to be a metal compound made of something that could not be made on this world. It is not of this earth, and it also emits a frequency. And this is all in that documentary. And it turns out this Robert Lear talks about it, that he's done this. This is like the 12th or 13th time they've gotten something that, is clearly not from this world. And he's just saying that the proof has been there forever that these things exist. This is nothing new. So it's interesting to see that this guy has this, scar on him, and massive, whatever the fuck that is.
And his stories are crazy. He said, one time he, fought them off with a samurai sword, and there's, a video or picture that he has with the blood on the sword that he claims, alien blood, and, yeah,
the only thing about that's so fucked up is it's if that's the case, where's the footage? Where's the pictures?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's come on.
What do you mean? Photos and pictures of him fighting it off?
Yeah.
Why would he have photos and pictures of it, though?
Well, if you're living in an alien fest, I would just walk around with a GoPro all day. Or
of course.
They didn't even have
Google
GoPros back
Glass.
then. When was this?
This is today. He's selling this today. That's what I'm saying. Why would the property not be just...
Yeah, no, but maybe he's fought him off 15 years ago. I mean, that's what I'm asking. When did all that happen?
It doesn't say exactly when he fought them off, but
his quote is, I'm tired of fighting them off.
Right, and he's lived there for 20 years, and it's in Arizona, by the way, not Nevada. Close to Phoenix.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Where in Arizona?
Close to Phoenix.
Dude, that's why. Because Dana's parents live in right outside of Phoenix, and
they live by the
ranch. Stardust Ranch. I gotta look at where is it by Gilbert and
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you make it sound like it would be crazy that if aliens were attacking you, that you'd get footage or pictures of it. The first reason you would do it is for help, to show people that it's really happening.
Right.
This
could be. This could be genius marketing. He could have went to some doctor to get that thing done like that, just so he can sell his ranch.
Who knows? You know what I mean? It's the thing that's hard about it is it's so believable and unbelievable at the same time that we would be. The reason it's believable to me that we would be visited by aliens is because I don't think that any advanced race, I don't think distance matters at all. I think they will solve that. So to say we're so far away from something, well, we're so far away with the horse and buggy model, right? From the pop bottle rocket.
From our linear understanding.
Right. You know what I mean? So, and I think there's just a bigger I mean, the one thing that when you really start getting into ufology, the one thing that becomes obvious is that science literally doesn't have a clue of how old mankind is. When we started, they don't have a clue, you know. They keep saying, oh, it was 12,000 years ago about that, and then they find, you know, ruins, you know, over in Turkey that predate at least 20,000 years ago. Like, well, shit, these are hand-carved things. Shit, so man had to be there. And then they find, you know, like a submerged Japanese city that they think is 140,000 years old. And they're like, well, fuck, if that's the case, then we really don't know what we're talking about. I mean, if you think about it, if the world existed for billions of years, there would be cataclysmic events that occurred how many times that could end civilization as we know it, you know? We could be the 300th reincarnation of life on this planet and not even know it, you know? And where are we at in the evolutionary chain in general, comparatively to all life in the universe? You know what I mean? What we know is as things become more intelligent, they become less violent. We've seen this, right? I mean, if you look back at, like, the stupider man gets, the more blatantly violent they were, you know? So if something is, because when you hear these stories about how, yeah, they're really worried about us and the nuclear bombs, I can actually see that being true. I could totally see a race of aliens going, hey, wait a minute, man, this shit can, like, fuck up the solar system, man. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, watch your, you know, we're not letting that happen.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what I kind of see? I kind of see like a fight between, like, intelligence and emotion, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to have one without the other because, for example, you get cheated on. Intelligently, you want to break up with that girl.
Right.
And she'll do it again. But
the emotion
emotionally,
is, right.
oh, I love her so much, this and that. And it's like the metaphor for, like, the fight of civilization, you know?
Well, there's also there's stories of, famously, there's a UFO, a guy that worked for the Air Force that came out that said we were testing nuclear warheads, and this UFO on film swung over the top of it and zapped it, and basically took the warhead out where it couldn't be activated and used. In England, this also happened where
SpaceX
at that recently, I mean, it blew up. And this, I forget the name of it. I'll say it wrong. It's called like Ramsfeld or something. It was this very famous case where if UFO came down, basically swooped over all their silos and shut all the nuclear warheads down, where they couldn't even operate the buildings anymore. Nothing worked in there. Like, we've seen this happen, reports of it. And it's one of the few things that I've heard as far as from the ufologists that are deep into this that makes sense to me. I mean, you got to think, we you know, we set off 2,000 nuclear bombs that we know of, right? Only 2 of them that we know of were on people. But I mean, if you're it's the only technology that we have mastered yet that could affect a star system. You know what I mean? A solar system. It could affect it. You know, and I could see another life form just going, hey, listen, if you're actually going to start doing that, we'll just fucking, you know, take you out. You know what I mean? Because there would be no battle. If something ever came here to, you know, if they were smart enough to get here with the fleet or whatever, we would be gone in fucking a flash of an eye. You know what I mean? Which I think guys like Stephen Hawking have kind of figured that out. Hawking basically says if we ever meet him, run, because it's over.
You know what's funny, man? The true innovators, not the marketers, the true innovators. You want to be blown away. Early 1900s. Listen to the interviews with Nikola Tesla. Talk about somebody who understood shit that would blow people's minds, not just electricity and stuff. I'm talking about the creation of understanding the connection of what human beings are, everything. I mean, his interviews, you know, I was sitting there just going, I had no idea, dude. I just thought he was an inventor or something, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Tesla was a woke motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. He was woke as fuck.
He was woke as fuck. He was. That's awesome. What else you got for us, man?
So I'm sure you heard recently that the CIA finally, after how many years, released Osama's journals and what he had on his computer. And
I heard about it, but I didn't hear much into it.
Right. Well, because I feel like they did it more for like entertainment. Because the thing that I saw most reported on was like the movies and stuff he watched, and like that's my news article. I thought it was really funny what he watches. So they found like everything from like cars to just like stuff that you're like, oh, the leader of Al Qaeda watches this. But I thought it was funny. He had like a bunch of documentaries about himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like
I can see that, though, yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's still funny. You know, you would think that this leader, you know, he's so above everything that all he cares about is annihilating.
Yeah, and he wants to know what the press is saying about him.
Right, but
This is
my favorite part. They found the Charlie Bit My Finger video saved on his computer. And I thought that was the
Charlie, what's that?
It's
you don't remember?
It's a kids. It's like, Charlie bit my finger. It's English kids. It was just like blew up.
Yeah, it was just
maybe I have seen it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a viral, silly video that, like, I'm saying, like, Fox reported. Like, every news because it was just so funny.
Oh, was it the kid and little baby?
Right, yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so they found it, and the husband went out to say, like, this is actually, I'm shocked. This is great. You know, he has a lighter side. It shows that, you know, he wasn't just this evil, crazy guy. He liked to laugh. But his wife went out to say, of course, like, was he planning on targeting us? And, you know, just all
well, I mean, supposedly, again, his name was Tim Miller for the CIA, you know, during the...
Yeah.
There's a long history with Osama bin Laden. It wasn't like he just came on the radar that day after 9/11.
Yeah. Right.
That's what's really interesting. There's a whole huge... That could be another 2 episodes.
And then the other thing, too, is, like, why did it take this long to release these dumb... You know, like,
the thing is, I don't buy it for a second. First off, again, you're right, this is a long thing, but we were the 9th country to say he was dead, to announce him being dead. And this whole, we grabbed the body and we gave him...
Buried him
at sea because it was way...
Ridiculous.
Horse shit. I don't...
And by the way, this is years after he was supposedly with a dilation machine because his kidneys were failing. And that's about at the end when your kidneys are going.
Right.
And he's supposedly hiding in caves and stuff with a dialysis machine. You know, I mean, it's just...
Yeah. Bullshit.
And then years later, he's supposedly watching fucking cars and whatever. And the odd part is when you have all these people that were in that area going, that was not Osama bin Laden you killed. They were in interviews and stuff, you know? They had him a different name of the person who it was, etc., you know? Very shady that they just dumped this body in the ocean and nobody's going to see it, you know? It's like, oh, we don't want it sturdy, so we're just going to get rid of it. And nobody can actually document who it was or if he's dead.
Yeah, I just, for the first time I heard that, I was like, this is a crock of shit. Show me a body. Same thing with, like, Hitler. Show me a body. You know what I mean? If you don't got a body, he ain't dead. You know what I mean? When they got Gaddafi, we saw a body. We saw a dude, shoving a knife up his ass on the street. You know what I mean? Like, we saw a body. And they didn't have any problem putting it out then. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we just want anybody to emotionally react to this photo of him. Bullshit. Like anyone's going to sit around and be so taken back by a dead Osama with a bullet in his head. They would have fucking loved it. Yeah. Right. That was a crock of shit. Right. So I knew that was fake since day one, you know? That was something they were sitting on, and Obama could use it when he used it, and it was a political maneuver. That was such a crock of shit, you know? Such a crock of shit. Anyways. One more, man. Give us one more, and then we'll wrap this puppy up.
All right. This next one is, I think we should do like a whole future episode about this, but it's about Bitcoin, which is the future of...
currency.
Right. It's, separate episode. But anyway, the reason I chose this one is CME Group. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the Chicago... is it
Chicago Mercantile Bank?
Exchange.
Mercantile Exchange.
Right. They announced that they plan to list Bitcoin in the 4th quarter for future contracts, which is that's why it's like blowing up right now. Because that is a huge thing. Because now Bitcoin is listed with gold, with like platinum, with currency. You know, it's an actual thing, and it's really funny because like the J.P. Morgan CEO, that Saudi prince,
Jamie Dimon,
all these people came out and said like Bitcoin is just a bubble, it's going to burst. Yeah. Well, why is one of the biggest like contracting companies listing them as a valuable item? Yeah, you know, it just goes to show that is the direction we're going to, and by next year, Bitcoin's going to be doubled. Justin was like showing me these predictions, and by 2050, one Bitcoin is projected to be $1 million. $1 million, man, for one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now, who knows what's going to happen as far as the altcoin world by 2050 between now? That's a lot of water under the bridge, man.
But but all the projections that they've made have always Bitcoin always exceeds them. Always.
I mean, the one thing that I understand about it that makes more sense than anything else, and when we were talking about this, what occurred to me when 9/11 happened is that we were not headed towards a new world order. We were one, because when the American, when our banks crashed, when our economy crashed, what happened to the world's economy?
Right.
It crashed. And just tell me right there, wherever the money goes and wherever the money affects, whoever's affected by the money, they're under that regime. You know what I mean? So I was just sitting there going, wow, we are really a global already.
You know what a good example is
I mean?
to me? When we were young, we were the Tri-Center Trojans, and we didn't like the Trainer Cardinals or the Griswold Tigers. But then we all went to Iowa State. Now we're all Iowa State Cyclones, right? What happens is Americans, we don't like the Russians. We don't like none of the social media stuff comes out. Interconnects everybody. Opens up the walls and the boundaries of trade. Now, the odd thing is with the whole Trump thing, and you can see the side of the people, whether you're defending him or against him, what I would hope anybody with intellect would see is we are not in the old paradigm anymore. I mean, there are mutual interest in mutual alliances of various countries, and it isn't the old way of looking at things anymore. It's more so interest groups. Like this Facebook interest, like for instance, the AGH interest group goes in Australia, Canada. I mean, they're all over the place. Not just Americans, right? So our people aren't just Americans. Our sales, and that's happening with all corporations. So the boundaries of where we're drawing lines of who's in the right area and stuff are getting vanished. And what's happening
is what Bitcoin's doing.
Yeah, right. It affects whoever, wherever, right?
Yeah, we have to do an episode on cryptocurrency. Even the creation of Bitcoin, I think, is one of the most bizarre things.
Yeah, no one knows who the guy is. Tagoki Naganoshi or whatever his name is. Yeah.
No one knows who
created. They think they know who he is now, but they don't know for sure. Right? Exactly. No one's ever actually come out and said. Right. Well, a couple guys have claimed that they were it, but they know for a fact they weren't.
Is it a CIA black op to control the freaking world currency?
Right.
Is it like,
right. That's one of the biggest theories. Is right. Is that the CIA is actually behind it? It was just like when Silk Road went down. Silk Road 2 came back on. Everyone was like, wait a minute, why is Silk Road 2 working so much better than the first one?
Yeah.
Why is it super fast and super, if you know anything about darknet sites, they're notoriously slow.
Well, supposedly.
You know what I mean? Because you're peeling through so much shit to get to hidden play. And everybody's like, dude, the CIA or FBI is running Silk Road 2. You know what I mean? That's what the thinking was.
The initial, the guy who was pushing it.
But they've decentralized it now.
Who was in emails with Satoshi at the time, when he would send all this information over. Yeah. He had emailed then that the CIA contacted him, was interested in meeting about this. And Satoshi dropped all contact with him at that point.
Dropped to the face of the earth after that point.
No. It wasn't Hal. It was the lead engineer.
Well, we'll do another episode deep on Bitcoin, because I think it's a bigger thing than just something we can talk about here. And it's interesting from 3-4 years ago when I was messing around with it and like getting into it, where it's come now from there. There's a great story there. There's a great story how it started, how it crashed, and how it's built its way back. And the number of people that are heavily in we're talking about Richard Branson, like big time people are heavily invested in this, including the Winklevi. The Winklevoss brothers, they call it the Winklevi.
You know what? Bitcoin wouldn't be where it is today without them.
Yeah, I know.
For sure.
There's actually, those guys are actually very interesting dudes if you really get into it.
They're so creepy, man.
They are, but they've been at the front of so many trends, dude. It's insane. Those guys are fucking. Those fuckers are woke. All right, those dudes are woke as fuck.
The biggest element of that, the biggest element is decentralization. That's the thing that's changing the world. It's going to change so many different things.
Well, that's what changed the whole drug game. I mean, the FBI was fucked once they did that. They were like, oh, really? You want to fuck around with this?
Peer-to-peer and blockchain is unstoppable. And that is why all these governments and all these like CEOs and this and that are saying like, no, like this is going to blow up, because they're all pushing people away from it because they know there's no control.
No, they're full of shit.
I was watching an international financial program, and they brought on McAfee in an interview on this.
Oh, McAfee's insane. God, you watch that documentary on him?
But he's obviously smart. He created a software.
Of course he's smart, but he's also nuts and wanted for murder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the thing is, for the element of his smarts in this category, he was so calmly like, what do you say to people who say this is a bubble? I say those people have a fundamental misunderstanding of what this is. They don't understand the functionality of how it works or what it is. They're looking at the old paradigm of stocks and money.
It's also very easy to say something's a bubble when it's growing really fast. That's the common thing they're going to say.
And not just that, like, look at it. Who are the people that are saying it's a bubble? The people that have everything to lose.
Right, by not being
the Saudi prince who's with oil, the JP Morgan who runs the
dinosaurs.
Right, exactly. The dinosaurs.
Well, we will get back into that more soon. Good episode, man. A lot of crazy, crazy shit going down. So join us next time. We're going to go back deep. We're actually going to get into Hitler and those who are Holocaust deniers. And we're also going to talk coming up about Tom DeLonge and his UFO space company, which is wacky as fuck. But good stuff, though. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you soon. Justin, Steve, say goodbye.
We out.
Adios.
Peace, everybody.
Paramerican